G'day and welcome to David Joshua Ford Live. This is episode 106, and on today's show we're going to take a look at installing a Dante card internally on the WING rack. I've got that down here, and then I've got the external expansion card here that is going to go onto the internal module. So we're going to take a look at the hardware, what you need to open it and to extract the card. And then there's two sort of software parts of it in terms of updating the Dante firmware or flashing that, and then also updating the WING racks firmware so that everything is playing nicely. If you're new to the channel here, we look at live streaming, photography, video production. So if you have any questions at all, drop them in the chat, start with a Q, and I'd love to hear from you as we go along. So to start with, I just wanted to look at why I'm putting Dante within my WING mixer. And it's because I'm building a portable rack and I don't have enough space to keep it portable in a sort of 8U space. So this is the rack over here. So this bottom one is going to be all the video components, and then the top one is where the WING rack is going to be installed. And basically I'm designing something so that I can have one Ethernet connection between the two cases here, so that when I turn up at a venue, I can either stack them like this for a small footprint if it's a sort of smaller job and solo operators, or for bigger jobs. It's very expandable, and I could hand off this rack to an audio engineer who could sit adjacent, or they could sit up at stage or in a completely different room. And as long as there's that Ethernet connection between these two racks, then my local network is going to stay intact, so that all of the mixing that happens in the rack, which is down here at the moment, is going to be sent via Dante to this box where I'll have some receivers that will put it into the ATEM constellation for the live stream. So that's kind of the origin of why I really wanted to get the WING Dante into this rack. And so I have the external card here, but even though you can just pop this in the back of the rack, that would mean taking out the SD card recorder, and I wanted to keep that as a sort of backup capacity to record shows. And so I would need to take the card off this external card here and place it internally here. Let's just talk about, we'll take a look at the products, some of the costs involved. Also, stock is been really limited. I probably had like a 6-month wait to get these, and they are in stock now at B&H. So there's links there if you want to go grab those while they're in stock. Let's take a look. We're looking at a Behringer WING rack, which is $1,800. It just had a $200 price jump. I managed to pick it up at the lower price. So I don't think it should jump up, but you never know in this day and age with tariffs and all that. But even with the $200 price increase, it is still amazing value. You've got a ton of in-out on the back here in terms of local ports and recording and connecting stage boxes and network connections. And on the front side, there's I think it's a 10-inch touchscreen and even like a USB 4 or 2-track recorder, headphones. There's so much packed into this 4U rack space that it's really great value for the $1,800, and is a really great way of enhancing your live streaming equipment and making it very scalable for larger productions as you need it. So you can actually, also on Amazon, I think you can pick that up, which is a little bit cheaper. So maybe go to Amazon if that's more your style. The WING Dante, let me just get over here, is out of stock in a lot of places. I think Sweetwater might have some at the moment, and it's going to set you back another sort of $500 or $600 there. And you can't see on the back here, but there's the actual Brooklyn card is on the back of this external expansion card. So they're the two pieces of hardware that we are looking at. Also potentially on Amazon, although I tried to buy it off Amazon and it canceled it. So don't know if that would work. And then on the other end of things, you can get the output adapters. So this is a PoE, so you got a network coming from your network switch into an adapter, and then getting analog audio out or in. And so this is on the other end of things in the video rack, which is bringing the audio into the 2ME constellation. So it's just a little bit of a look at the hardware there. Just a note, a little bit of a disclaimer as we go on, that I have been told that doing this on the WING rack and also the WING Dante card would void your manufacturer and also retail warranty. So in some parts of the world, maybe not in other parts. So just be aware of that if you are thinking of doing this procedure. But let's kick off and take a look first of all at the hardware. We're going to take a look at opening and removing the WING lid and also the expansion card here. Before we do that though, I just wanted to have a little aside, which was that the WING rack has some little rubber feet on them, and that can be getting in the way if you're installing it in a rack where you have a rack space below. Then the little rubber feet will kind of, if you're trying to put another audio device in there, it will impede that. So I actually took my rubber feet off. Let me see if I can bring that one up. So they're just little adhesive rubber corners, and you can see if I prod it with a screwdriver that it's not really coming off, but just apply a little bit of heat from this or a hairdryer and it will pretty easily pop off, and then there's no actual sort of screw beneath it. So I've done that on my rack just ahead of time so that when I insert it into the rack, it's not having any obstruction there, because I'm never gonna just like plonk this rack on a desk. So next thing is opening the WING rack lid, which has 10 T9 screws on the top. And so you'll need a sort of, it's the star screwdriver here. And let me just see if I can, from the top here. I've already taken some off, so I'll do that last bit. So I've got 2 more screws. This one, put that aside. And this one. So once you've done all 10 T9 screws, in 1 second. There we go. Put that aside. You can actually just slide this lid off. There's no attachments, no cables or anything underneath. It's completely clear, so it's a very simple, easy installation. I'll just pop this down. And you can see on the inside, this is actually on and running. There's actually a fair amount of internal space that's not really being used, and I've already installed the Dante card in here that we'll take a look at. Let me see if I can, I don't think I have a shot of that, but we can get closer in on that in a little bit. So come back to here, the expansion card. Now, I haven't tried this myself, but from what I understand, you can basically grab any Brooklyn 2 or 3 card and you can reflash it even from other mixers, insert it in and install the right firmware, and then you can use, like an X32 card or a Yamaha and put it into here. I haven't tried that, so I can't sort of vouch for actually going through that process, but it should be the same process. So this is the WING Dante card, and rather than just buying the Brooklyn card itself, I figured I'll get the whole WING card, because if at a later date I do want to install this in the external slot and put other cards on the internal slot, then that would be an option, and I've got that board. So this is what that looks like. Go back over here. Is pop some down. Out like that. And it's missing the board because I've already installed that, so just bear that in mind. But this is where the board would be sitting. All right, let me just pop this one over here, and I've got to get my bag back. All right, I did record a video of that before. Just going to move this one out of the way. So let me pull that one up. VLC. So taking the PCIe card out looks a little bit like this is how it will arrive. You can just, with your thumbnails, pull it apart, it'll pop open, and then you can very easily slide that out. And that's super simple. now that we've opened up the Wing rack, it's the same thing on here with, let me just go back to my rack 1, I think it was. So the same slot in here, the notch is on the right side. And to get back to that, I'll show you that video. So this is on the expansion slot, but it'll be the same principle for internally, is if you want it to go in, then once you put it in the rack, you just sort of rest it on top, find the notch you'll see on the right side, and then push sort of in on one corner, and it will pop in a bit, and then both sides are in, it pops up, and then you can gently just push it down, and then you've got that card installed on the internal side of it. So pretty easy. There's no like disconnecting wires. There are some wires in the case that sort of you have to move out of the way a bit. And I did find a bit of like hot glue that was just kind of like randomly in the case. So didn't look like it had been put together in the best form with like the best care. What else we got? So that is the insertion. So now you have the card. Let's pull up that shot again. There we go. So now that is installed here, and we can put the lid back on. I'm going to skip that part just for time's sake, and we'll move along. The next part of this is installing or updating the Dante firmware on the card, or flashing it to the internal software. It has different software for the external expansion slot. So if you're placing it in this external slot, different firmware for that for when you place it on the internal slot. So you have to reflash that through the Dante Updater. So we're going to do that now. And then the next step will be updating the actual firmware of the Wing rack itself. But now I have basically powered on the rack, and I have an Ethernet port connected on the back, and that's going into my local network here. So on my computer, this is going to be the same computer that is connected on the same local network via Ethernet to the Wing rack is how I am accessing that. All right, let me just hide this one, and I got to get over to my full screen thing here. All right, let's go to over here. So when you open up Dante Updater, and I've got the link in the description and also in the chat if you want to follow that, it's going to look a little bit like this, and it'll probably say like up to date, and it'll have the device name, Behringer Wing, and product version 1000, and 4277 is what I have for what it's recognized in here. So we need to update this. So the first thing to do is to go to the upper corner here, and you go to Advanced Settings and turn on Allow Imported Firmware, and also allow Override of Device Matching, and hit Apply. And then we got to click on the Library tab, go to Imported Files, and down here you can click on Import Firmware and select a file, and then you're looking for a file like this. I'll just jump back over to the page here. So there's a link in here to the WING Dante firmware. So depending on what you've got, you're going to come over to this here to download the software. There's instructions here, and then there's 4 versions of this. You'll notice that there's 2 that are external and 2 that are internal. And then one is a Brooklyn 2 card and one is a Brooklyn 3 card. So I have a Brooklyn 3 card, and I want to do the internal firmware. So that's why I'm grabbing that WING 64B int BK34294. So I'm going to download that and then expand the zip. And then you're looking for this DNT file here, and open that. And then that will import the file into your library, and then click back onto Home, and then Imported Firmware Files. And you'll see that the version 1 of this Wing, which it recognizes here, also sees that there is an imported firmware available for this device. And you can click Upgrade, and click understand audio will be interrupted. Go update now, and it will install that. And then it'll bring to this page, and you can go reboot required and reboot selected devices, successful, and close that. And then you'll have your imported firmware files, and you can see that here we have the device is on version 2, Dante version 4294, and it also showing that in our library is the same firmware if we wanted to reload that. So that's how we go about doing the firmware update to flashing the card. Just got to stop that one. Yeah, so it's pretty easy. Once you're in there and have it connected to the network, it should show up and should be pretty easy. Let me just check where I'm up to in my notes here. Reboot. Okay. Last of all, we're going to come to the WING rack firmware update and also adding on the Dante mod so that it recognizes it. Now, my unit shipped with 3.0.5, and as of this live stream today, it is 3.06, and so we need to update that firmware also to make sure that the latest Dante and WING rack firmware are on the sort of same version, so they're talking to each other. So at this point, I haven't actually updated the firmware. I've just done the Dante update because it's sort of connected via the WING to the network. But now we're going to go install the update. There's two ways of updating the WING rack. One is connecting a USB cable from the WING to a computer. For the life of me, I could not find a USB 2 cable in here. I've got USB 3B ports, but so I went the route of a thumb drive. So if you've got a thumb drive, it has to be 32 gig or less, and you need to go to your computer and format that. So I'll bring that up and I'll hide this one. Where have we gone? Okay. So if you're on a Mac, and I am generally on a Mac, you can plug in your thumb drive, and you can see I've got this one formatted as exFAT. So you actually need to select the thumb drive, go erase, and I'm going to call this USB drive, and we're going to go with MS-DOS FAT. It's like a FAT32, erase, and that is going to, where are we? It's successful, done. All right, now I can open up the USB drive and I can find the firmware. So I've downloaded that from the WING rack. Let me go back to here. This is also a link in the description or in the chat, and you can go to the Behringer WING rack page, and it's a very long page. But if you click on download, then under the software, there's a whole bunch of WING Edit and Copilot and all that. Down the bottom here is 3.06, and you can just download that one, and it's downloading. All right, so then when we've got that, I've just stored this here. It's a zip file. Unzip it, and you'll have instructions, and also you'll have this .wingfw, and you can basically copy this to the flash drive. Wait for that, and it's copied. Okay, and then eject that, and then we come back. All right, so then we have our flash drive, and I have not that one. Oop, I have pre-recorded a video of I was actually able to run this install and also record it on my phone at the same time. So we'll play that as we go through this. So I've got my thumb drive, and here we go. All right, so just plug it into the front like this, and then you'll see that on the console, we can see select firmware file, 306 is the one, and then we're going to click update. Give that a second. It says, are you going to update the firmware on the console? Are you sure? Go confirm. And it's going to update the firmware. Update completed. And it says, please shut down or reboot. So we go, okay, and we shut down, and we're turning off the 48 phantom power, so we turn that off. Excellent, it's ready to be shut down. So now on the back, I can just disconnect it, turn that off, and eject the thumb drive, just because I don't need it. You could leave it in though, it's not going to do anything. And then on the back side, we have to turn it on, but then very quickly try and hold down the utility button. It's easier to do with two hands, but I was holding a phone here, and it is gonna boot up. Now, this is, because we did the firmware update, this is updating the expansion card that is in the back of the SD cards. So it's kind of going over the top of it, but you can see in the background, the console options have turned up there. So I am just waiting for the update to take place. And then once that has finished, we can continue with the Dante mod. Okay, so this is now updated firmware, and because we held down the utility button, we can type in MOD-DANTE, and you'll see down the bottom there's no card, and then now down the bottom there is an internal module, and it recognizes that the Dante is in the internal slot, and then we also have the Wing live in the external expansion slot. So that is how we go about updating that. And then really the last thing, if you're new to Dante, which is in the Dante controller, let me just see if I can click over here. Now, where is that? Okay. So click on here. Where did it go? This button. Go to Mac. Okay, so then now in the Dante controller, if you click on this network port, you can just make sure that you're using the right interface, because maybe you've got multiple ones connected. So just if nothing's showing up, make sure that you're connected to the right port here. This is my computer 7.16. And then you should have it show up. We've got the WING rack Dante with 64 channels of in and out that we can start routing. And then we also have my, where is it? My little outputs, the co-pull audio out. So this is where we can start sort of routing the Dante of where we want to get to. So gotta fix that one. Hopefully that was helpful. Excellent. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. I think I've just got one here. I'm usually doing this on a Thursday, not a Friday, so I'm a bit off schedule. But Roy says, love your work, keep it up. Thanks, Roy, appreciate that. I had just wanted to sort of demonstrate how easy it is to install this yourself, and just sort of consolidate all that process into one video. So hopefully that was helpful for if you have a Wing rack and you want to install it. Also, if you haven't bought it yet, you could, for example, at Sweetwater, you could, rather than just buying it, you could message the reps and ask for them to install it themselves. And I think it's probably another $200 or something for their technician to install it. It did sound like there was a bit of a sort of a wait period on labor and parts, so that might be not the fastest approach. But if you don't want to do this and you want to just really make sure about not voiding any warranty, then that is another way around it if you just want to get it ordered. But I found this process very easy to do and also pretty unobtrusive, like taking off 10 screws, inserting the card, and a bit of firmware update. And that's really all there was to it to get the Dante up and running on the Wing rack. And now I can move forward with the rest of my project to get this installed in the rack and build the Sennheiser wireless receivers around it into this audio rack, and finish installing all of the video components to it as well. All right, that's all we have on today's show. Hopefully that was helpful, taking a look at how to get Dante installed into the internal slot of your Wing rack. A very cool mixer, so much in and out. I'm very excited to explore this, and davidjoshuaford.com was the website there if you want to take a look at other ways in which I am making live streaming easier, a lot of it through Companion. And the good news is that WING Rack has some companion module that is in development. So at some date soon, in the regular Companion firmware, you'll be able to control the WING Rack via a Stream Deck and Companion, which is really cool, particularly for building it into a run of show alongside other equipment like video and cameras. Until next week, take care. I'll see you then.